Before we begin, I want you to stop scrolling for just a moment. This message is not an accident. God knew you would be here today. He knew the struggles you've been carrying, the questions you've been asking, and the silent battles you've been fighting. If you've been feeling discouraged, confused, or tired of waiting, this message is for you. Right now, take a deep breath. Let your heart become still. And remember this simple truth. God has a plan for your life, and His plan is greater than anything you can imagine. There was a young man named Daniel. He loved God and tried to do what was right. But despite his faith, life seemed to be falling apart around him. He worked hard every day, yet opportunities slipped through his fingers. He prayed for direction, but answers seemed distant. He watched other people succeed while he remained stuck in the same place. Night after night, Daniel would sit by his window and look at the stars. "God," he would whisper, "why is nothing changing? Have you forgotten me?" Days became weeks, weeks became months, and months became years. Still, the breakthrough he prayed for never seemed to come. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Daniel walked through a quiet park. The sun was setting, painting the sky with shades of gold and orange. As he sat on a wooden bench, an elderly man approached him. The old man smiled warmly. "You look troubled," he said. Daniel sighed. "I've been praying for years. I've trusted God, but nothing seems to be happening." The old man nodded. Then he pointed toward a giant oak tree nearby. "Do you see that tree?" "Yes." "Do you know how long it took to become that strong?" Daniel shook his head. The old man continued. "For years, that tree grew beneath the surface. Before anyone could admire its branches, its roots were growing deep underground. Nobody celebrated its progress because nobody could see it. Yet those unseen years were the most important years of its life." Daniel listened carefully. The old man smiled. "Perhaps God is growing roots in your life." Those words stayed with Daniel long after the conversation ended. For the first time, he began to wonder if God was still working even when he couldn't see it. And maybe that's exactly what you need to hear today. Sometimes we think God has forgotten us because we don't see immediate results. Sometimes we assume silence means absence. But God's silence does not mean God is gone. While you are waiting, God is working. While you are praying, God is preparing. While you are trusting, God is building something greater than you can currently understand. Think about the story of Joseph. Joseph received a dream from God. But before that dream came true, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. If Joseph had judged God's plan by his circumstances, he might have believed his life was ruined. But every setback was actually preparing him for his purpose. Years later, Joseph realized that God had been guiding every step of the journey. The prison was not the end. The waiting was not wasted. The delay was not denial. It was preparation. The same is true for you. Perhaps you're waiting for a new job. Perhaps you're praying for financial breakthrough. Perhaps you're asking God to heal a relationship. Perhaps you're seeking direction for your future. Whatever your situation may be, remember this. God sees the entire picture. We see only one page. God sees the whole story. Imagine trying to complete a puzzle while only looking at one piece. That single piece may seem confusing. It may not make sense. But when all the pieces come together, the picture becomes clear. Life often feels like that. Today, you may only see one piece. But God sees the masterpiece. That is why faith is so important. Faith is trusting God when you cannot trace His hand. Faith is believing that God is good even when circumstances are difficult. Faith is holding on when everything around you tells you to give up, and maybe right now you're tempted to give up. Maybe you're tired of waiting. Maybe you're exhausted from disappointment. Maybe you're wondering if your prayers matter. If that's you, listen carefully. God has not forgotten you. Your prayers are not ignored. Your tears are not unseen. Your faith is not wasted. Every prayer you've whispered in the darkness has been heard by heaven. Every tear you've cried has been counted. Every moment you've chosen faith over fear has mattered. The God who created the stars knows your name. The God who commands the oceans sees your struggle. The God who raised Christ from the dead is able to work in your situation. So don't quit. Don't stop believing. Don't let temporary circumstances convince you of permanent defeat. Because God specializes in impossible situations. When the path seems blocked, He makes a way. When the future seems uncertain, He provides direction. When strength is gone, He renews your spirit. And when hope feels lost, He reminds you that His promises still stand. Today, choose to trust God's plan. Not because you understand everything, not because life is easy, but because God is faithful. The same God who carried you yesterday will carry you tomorrow. The same God who protected you in the past will guide you into the future. The same God who began a good work in your life will be faithful to complete it. So lift your eyes, raise your faith, and remember, your story is not over. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think. Your miracle may already be in motion. God is working behind the scenes. God is opening doors you cannot yet see. God is preparing blessings that are bigger than your expectations. Trust Him. Trust His timing. Trust His wisdom. Trust His plan. Because when God's plan finally unfolds, you will look back and realize that every delay, every challenge, every closed door, and every season of waiting was leading you exactly where you needed to be. And on that day, you will understand that God was faithful all along. Trust God's plan. Your story is still being written.